Hi all, welcome to Erebus Trading Weekly Stock Market Update. So it's currently 1 a.m. Singapore time and I'm filming this despite having work tomorrow. So just trying to get the latest content out for you all. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. Firstly, key updates on some key news update. Not really much update this week. Firstly, Trump administration recently announced a $2 billion investment into quantum computing. So this shows increasing focus on AI and quantum computing. So a lot of people are saying that, oh, semiconductors are in the bubble, AI is in the bubble, AI stocks are in the bubble, so on and so forth, right? But the issue is this bubble can continue as long as people are willing to pour money into it. And as traders, our job is to ride the trend until it is no more, correct? So, okay, but for long-term investors, valuations are definitely lofty. So it's wise to look for pullback before entering, wait for more structure to form, right? Market can never or very rarely goes up in a straight line and never come back. So get ready your cash, and when it's time to strike, then go in hard. Next, fear and greed index update. We are still in greed territory. My advice is to hold on to existing longs and don't blindly long now. If you want to long, look for appropriate sectors, which I have been preaching for the past week. Right, so currently we are in a very healthy market, actually, in my opinion, despite the recent tear or the repeated tear towards all-time high. And why I'm saying that is that if you actually take a look at the greed, fear and greed index, we are actually at maybe 69, close to actually greed maybe a couple of weeks ago. But today, we are still in greed territory. In fact, the number has retreated. I think the last I checked is about 50 plus. So what this is showing is that the market is able to move up at a very sustainable pace. Okay, if let's say you see the market rally one line out and it's currently at extreme greed, okay, you know it won't move. But if it's able to make a high, pull back, make another high, and continue staying at greed territory, then perhaps, or not perhaps, then we are in a very healthy market, right? So hold on to your existing longs. Perhaps you can look to take profit here and there, but that's about it. Next, Straits of Hormuz effectively remain shut despite the ceasefire, but like I mentioned, week after week, the equity market just doesn't care. Latest update on the situation is that US reportedly is near a deal with Iran. But Trump, as you know, maintains stance of no rush. There's no rush for a deal, right? So essentially the Strait of Hormuz, in my opinion, is a non-factor, or rather kind of like a distant past for the equity market already. Okay, and we are just gonna continue tearing to all-time high until we face a very bearish news, for example, that could facilitate a pullback and to go higher. Next, moving on to key macro indicators update. Today, I'll be running through the Nasdaq, VIX, Bitcoin, Brent. Okay, this for also Nasdaq, VIX, Bitcoin, and Brent. So if we take a look at the chart for Nasdaq, right? So Nas 100. Okay, recently Nasdaq just broke all-time high again on the daily chart. So you see this is a break of structure, and you can essentially call for this break of structure to continue higher, right? But definitely short-term wise is definitely more bullish than bearish. Okay, but chasing after this long would be not very wise. So perhaps you would like to wait for a pullback to happen. So to me, a pullback would be within this green box. Then when it comes to here, you try to scout an entry on the lower time frame. Next, Nasdaq. Then we have the VIX. Okay, so I've been repeatedly calling for VIX to hit this green zone for maybe the last 3 videos or last 2 videos already. So I'm still calling for VIX to hit this green zone at about 15.9 before it rebounding, and this should facilitate the Nasdaq sell-off. Okay, so moving on to Bitcoin, which is kind of an indicator of risk sentiment to me. Bitcoin, as expected, rejected of this red zone, which I have been preaching of as well in my previous video. So it rejected, currently when came back into a demand that was formed. So now we are trying to see whether this demand will hold or not. Same thing for experienced trader. Go into this zone, go to your lower time frame, right? 15-minute, hourly, 4 hour, whatever floats your boat. Okay. Then look for your reversal pattern to see, like, perhaps you could want to write this out up. Because if this is indeed the bottom, then if this is indeed the bottom, then there's still room to run, right? I mean, yes, Bitcoin at its peak was at 126,000. Now we are at 77,000, where equity market is in all-time high. Okay, So next, looking on to Brent. Brent, like I mentioned, week after week is still stuck in a freaking range. Okay. Recently today, in fact, there is a news of reportedly Iran and US is near a ceasefire deal. And because of that, Brent crude actually sell off. But from a technical standpoint, right, you can see that we are indeed in a range. And every time price reach the top of the range, right, here, is because of some escalation, and then someone will tackle, and then price will fall back down. Vice versa, every time we reach the bottom of the range, then there will be some escalation to bring price up. So this is a very profitable range trading if you guys know how to range trade. Because ultimately, Brent crude should remain high until a deal is permanently put into words, and there are clear protocol in place to actually open the straits. But if you actually look at the situation today, the huge underlying issue is that Iran wants to keep their enriched nuclear, but US wants them to surrender it. And there seems to be no compromise for this, right? I mean, sure, how can you compromise this? US take half of the stockpile, Iran keep half. That's not very wise on either end, right? So it's either a yes or no. And how do you go from a yes or no? And that's where the difficult part is. So for those of you who might think that a deal might not be coming so soon, I do think that's possible as well. But we need to know what the equity market is pricing as well, which is that equity market is actually pricing for a deal to be announced soon. Maybe in the next month, I don't know, I've been calling it since the last month, but the deal has not come, right? But nonetheless, we are in a range for Brent crude, and a deal remains very unlikely to be reached. And yes, we can look for potential longs here. So that's just a trade you can play. So that's all for macro updates.